The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show and Matt Landowski and Sweet Hand Sports. Our mission at Sweet Hand Sports is to gear you up for greatness. With our top tier gloves, you are set to grip, win, and dominate. Grip your victory and leave your mark on the game. Sweet Hand Sports brings you batting gloves and now golf gloves that are designed to be durable and breathable. Go to sweethandsports.com, use the promo code BONO10 and save yourself 10%. Grip your victory at Sweet Hand Sports. Once again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10 to save yourself 10%. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming product at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of their suppliers are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. He has sent me a complimentary bottle of their beard balm. My beard has never felt softer. It has never been more tamed and has never grown faster or looked healthier. I've been using these products for a little while now, and I love every minute of it. Once again, buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 15%. Next, we are brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood. The Tactical Brotherhood is a movement to support America. We believe that there is a gap in focus when it comes to companies that support America. We want to be the front lines of supporting Americans and are determined to find something worth being proud of in every aspect of our military, starting with the men and women who serve and protect us. Our mission is simple: to unite like-minded individuals by celebrating what makes each one of us unique Americans. You don't have to be a veteran to join us. You just have to love America. Go to tacticalbrotherhood.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, the tacticalbrotherhood.com, promo code Mike Bono, save yourself 10%. Next, we are brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company brought to you by first responders for first responders. They are a clothing apparel company that helps those who have worked through the COVID-19 pandemic and also for all the first responders with their mental and physical health. Deemed Fit donates 100% of their net profits from the Never Forget collection sales to the Tunnel of Towers Foundation to support those from 9/11. Once again, go to deemedfit.com. Check out all of their great products. All of them have great messages. They fit and look great. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 10%. By supporting Deemed Fit through your own purchase, gifts bought for your friends, family, and colleagues, or by becoming one of our brand ambassadors, you become part of the Deemed Fit family. Don't miss out on this great way to help and support everyone who has helped and supported our country. Deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Next, we have Shankit Golf. Shankit Golf is golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We're not going to go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but we are going to give you the gear to help you rock it on and off of the course. Our goal here at Shankit Golf is for everyone to have a great time on and off of the course, and we're going to help you look great while doing it. Go to shankitgolf.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, shankitgolf.com, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Web Western. Web Western is for those who roll up their sleeves and do what it takes to get the job done. The arrow serves as a constant reminder to be a straight shooter, no excuses, no bullshit, just honest hard work. It's a brand that reflects the passion within us to lend a hand when it is needed, fight to protect our God-given rights, and live life like there is no tomorrow. Be a straight shooter. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today. He's coming to us from Baldwin Wallace University. He is the men's volleyball coach, and that is Kyle Mars joins the show. Kyle, thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you having me. It's good to meet you, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad we were able to get this put together here for you. But I mean, so for the new listeners out there, everybody out there, you are originally from the New York State area. Where did you grow up exactly in New York, and what kind of things were you involved in as a kid there in New York?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Rochester, New York area. So that's a small city in the Western New York area. It's like maybe an hour away from Buffalo. So we're used to a lot of snow there. I did not do much with that snow, but something like, yeah, so I moved there when I was 8 years old. So my family lived out on the West Coast, out in Portland, from the
Okay.
time that I was born until age 7. We moved back to Rochester when I was 8. And the reason I say back there is because my parents are from there. So I lived in Rochester from age 8 all the way until I went to college. I went to college in Pennsylvania, and then I
Mhm.
moved out here to Ohio about 10 years ago now. So I've lived in a few different spots. Some things I used to do in Rochester before getting into volleyball. I'm from a big family of basketball players. So
Okay.
I will not lie, man. Like after school, we got home and me and my older brothers just play a lot of basketball. So we would just get home and go outside and just go to a park and stuff like that and just play some fives. So that was big in my life. And I got into a bunch of other sports. I did get into some flag football for a little bit as a youngster. And then when it came time to actually playing some tackle football, it wasn't for me. And then that's how I found volleyball. So I kind of fell into it where I had a teacher when I was in 7th grade who was like, hey, if you're looking to jump higher and just get some more footwork going, the sport of volleyball is great for it. And I'm kind of looking at him like I didn't know boys played volleyball. And lo and behold, you get into a volleyball practice and you're max jumping, I would say 100 to 150 times like
Wow.
per day. So if you're a tall guy who's looking to increase the vertical and get better at some rebounding and dunking and stuff like that, it actually helped a lot. And it turned out that I was better at playing the game of volleyball than shooting jumpers. So it kind of afforded me a lot of opportunities. And here we are. Rochester was a great area for the fact that just all the suburbs were so competitive in lots of sports. And I think the thing I'm starting to find about the state of New York is it's not a huge state in football, but it's a major state in terms of boys basketball. So just like I met a lot of good athletes there. I had a great time in that city. I still have some family over there, so I'll go visit from time to time. It's like a 4 hour drive here to go get there. So it's not too bad. But yeah,
No, yeah, that's not terrible of a drive, 4 hours. I
not too
mean,
bad.
not
Yeah,
too
I
bad.
think
I
my
mean, it's
mom
still
wishes that
long,
it'd be
but yeah.
closer. But yeah,
I get it. I live about 2 hours away from my family back in West Virginia, and it's I still wish it's closer. It's like, oh, it's 2 hours. It's not that bad of a drive until you're making that drive. You know what I mean?
right.
And then it's like, all right, it's 2 hours there. Hang out with them for a little bit. My dog decides she wants to be a part of the show every time I try to talk about anything. My animals decide they want to be on the show.
Nice. Yeah.
Um,
Hey, bring her in.
no, it's seriously that I have the quietest husky in the world, and then I start recording it, and all of a sudden she finds her voice.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways,
No, Huskies are awesome, man.
yeah, and it's just my son coming home. That's all she's barking at right now. It's fun times here at the Botto
Yeah.
household. But but yeah, yeah, you think it's 2 hours there. You hang out with them for a little bit, and then 2 hours drive back. So that's 4 hours just in the car for me, just to go and visit my family for a little bit. So when you
Yeah.
put
So
it
I
into
think that
perspective like
driving,
that,
yeah, like I think that kind of driving can creep up on you. Like we'll usually go to Rochester for a whole weekend. So it's a
yeah,
4 hour drive on like a Friday afternoon, and then we'll stay. And so me and my wife both went to high school at the same place. So we met when we were in 10th grade. So her family is like 5 minutes away from my family there. So whenever we go back to Rochester, it's like a double shot. We visit her
right.
family, we visit mine, and we'll just make a weekend of it and take the 4 hour drive back on like Sunday. But yeah, so it's not too
Yeah,
bad, but it's definitely something that we've just learned to do, you know.
right. Yeah, you get used to it, especially like us, we alternate holidays, what year we go back to West Virginia and what year we stay here with my wife's family. So it is what it is. It's the qualms of getting older, I always say. So it is what it is. But like you said, you bounced around, you went to college in Pennsylvania. You actually attended Penn State University where you actually played D1 volleyball.
Yes.
What made you choose Penn State, and what was the experience like playing D1 volleyball?
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors. So I had a brother that also went to Penn State. He was there from 2007 to 2011. So that was a big factor. Was like, hey, I get to be on a team with him again. He actually won a national championship there in '08. So it was really cool to follow that up. And I came in the fall of '09. So that was a big one. And then I was kind of a tweener. So for the sport of volleyball, I'm 6'3". You would think that that's pretty tall. When you go to a school like Penn State, most of the guys that I was on the other side of the net with and I was playing with were 6'7" to 6'9". I think the tallest guy that I played with was about 6'10". So I was actually the third shortest guy on this team. And like my personality, I love a challenge, right? So I was doing in high school, I played for a great club. We traveled from a national standpoint. We went to California every year. We went to just a bunch of different states and played in these national type tournaments. So that got me a lot of exposure to these top colleges. And when I was 16, I was doing some training with the youth national team. So what that is like basically you go to a tryout the day before a big club tournament and you just kind of test your wits like, hey, are you able to play with the best guys around the nation? And they choose like a crop of 24 guys to go train at Colorado Springs. So I was lucky enough to make that 24, and I never actually made the top team of 12, but it was really cool to go train for 10 days and be a part of that last grouping of like 18.
Yeah.
That's when I started to think, all right, like I can make something of myself here and I could go pretty far with this. So when I was 16, I got my first letter from Ohio State, and they showed some pretty early interest in me. I got coached by the Ohio State coach when I was at the youth national camp and stuff like that. The main draw for Penn State for me was A, to have some family there, and then B, it was such a good academic offering. And it was only about 4.5 hours away from home. And just like when you're on the East Coast, like Penn State as a Big Ten school is just such a household name. So when you go on a visit there, you talk to some of the team and stuff like that. And in our sport, they just have such a rich kind of pedigree of boys volleyball and men's volleyball there. It was kind of a no-brainer. The biggest thing that I was wondering and I was like swaying with was like, all right, like from essentially eighth grade until the end of my high school years, I was like the guy on my club team and my high school team. And it was like, you just get used to that.
Yeah.
But what I reflect on now is like, I wanted a challenge and I didn't want to be the guy anymore. I kind of wanted a newer challenge. So I went to Penn State like knowing I wasn't going to be starter for 4 years and I had to work my way onto the court. And that was a big reason why it's like, hey, I had people all around me that were going to push me and make me better. So I was never a starter. I got a lot of court time. I was the OH3 but just what I learned there and how I got challenged was just amazing. And it's a fun place to be as well. Like I think that was another factor, but yeah, so there's a lot of factors there.
Yeah, I get it. I chose Bethany for a swimming scholarship. I was a swimmer growing up. Did play football too a little bit back in high school.
Yeah.
Which senior year, in hindsight, obviously, probably shouldn't have. I had a bunch of D1 offers to go and swim, and I always said I'd make a better football coach than I did a player. I was the habitual backup special teamer, just trying to do, like you said, whatever I needed to do to get on the field. And then lo and behold, hurt my shoulder my senior year of football and lost my senior year of swimming in high school. So every D1 school, you get a swimmer with a bum shoulder, and they're like, no, thank you. And they drop those scholarships real quick. But kind of like you in swimming, I was the man at my high school team captain as a sophomore, and just always it wasn't a challenge for me, even at these big tournaments and making regionals every year. It seemed like missed districts by 0.03 seconds, which still stings to this day.
Yeah, dude, this is like so slim. So what's crazy about swimming, man, like a sidebar, whenever the college coaches are going to recruit swimmers, they don't actually need to go see them live. Like most of the time, they're just looking at times. And that's so much different than a lot of other sports. So it's just really interesting.
I never saw one recruiter, maybe one. And I think it was Bethany who actually came to me because I was about 20 minutes away from the campus. Yeah. So where my high school was. So, I saw them, but for the most part, everyone was just looking at my times. And then, lo and behold, I go to a D3 school and I'm not the man anymore. You know what I mean? I'm putting up times and I'm seeing guys that are already done. And it's like, that was that was my best right now. And these guys are just cooking me. So it made me push
it's an
myself a lot
eye-opener,
more.
right?
Yeah, it really just, you think, oh, I got this. I can go and do this. And you're really not ready until you learn, So
Dude, it's crazy just being put into a different type of mindset. And I deal with that now with a lot of the freshmen that I bring into BW. It's like, hey man, like you might be used to being the guy. You might be used to being called upon every single time to make the big play. And maybe you're getting a lion's share of the volume, right? But then you get to college and that mindset shift is really difficult. So it's really helpful to just be primed. And I would say that for any step up in any kind of industry, right? Like even going from like an academic class from high school to college is like just a different type of mindset. Things are coming at you a lot faster. And just being humble is huge, man. And that's something that I was like ready to go when I got there. I was like, all right, I'm about to get humbled here and I'm ready for it. And
get
like,
that
I think
nice
the
slice
thing
of humble pie,
right, man. Yeah. And it's like you got to get your mouth open because it's gonna be there quick, right? But yeah, like I had good teammates that would pull me aside and talk to me and be like, hey man, like you're doing some good things here, but make sure you're just considering this and considering that. And I think the biggest thing is if you have teammates that are also there to help you move forward, develop and stuff like that. Obviously the staff is going to be doing that, but if your team members are doing that, then it just feels like home, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I
but
was
yeah, it's
lucky
like,
enough on my team that two of my teammates were my fraternity brothers. So I had them
nice.
pushing me. Even on days when I would wake up like, oh, do I really want to get up for this 6 a.m. practice and get in
Yeah.
that cold ass water in the middle of winter? And,
Yeah.
and they were coming banging on my door, 5 through like, well, you got practice, big dog. It's like, yeah, we do, don't we, guys? You're right. I should. Yeah, you're right. I'm not the man anymore. I need to get there.
Just getting
So,
through the dog days of winter, man. Yeah,
yep, it's just in winter. You're in that cold water. Nobody wants to be in that at 6 a.m. So
yeah, yeah.
it's not fun, but it all pays off in the
Do you
end.
know what's crazy to think about? And I talk to some friends about this all the time. If you had to, at the age, like I'm 35.
Yeah.
So if I had to go and live the life that I was living when I was in college at age 20, I would just be so tired and I would be in pain every single day. Like there was times on like a Thursday night, we'd go out for a wing night and be out at like 1:30. And then you have to get up at like a 9 a.m. and go lift or something like that. And you're probably up a little bit earlier to get to class first, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, man, right now at age 30, like if I have a couple glasses of bourbon, like I'm out for the next day. Like I got to get up and shake some dust off,
It's I laugh because I have these conversations at my day job. I'm 37. So, we're around the same age and like there's younger guys at work that are like, man, I went out last night. We did this, we did that. And I got like a couple hours of sleep. And then here I am and all bright eyed and bushy tailed. And I was like, hang on to those dreams, my man. Cause when you hit 30, I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. I was like, I had a couple of beers the other night and it's a 3 to 5 day recovery process. Like I'm not as young
like,
as
I feel like
am.
there's cliff and I'm not really quite sure what age it was, but there was a year where it was like, okay, like I was up a little bit late the night before, just had a couple pops, and then the next morning I'm getting up for work at 6:30 and it's like, oh yeah, that feels a little different.
Yep.
But
I say 30 it was for me when I hit 30. I always make the joke that check engine light came on in my body and it will not turn off. You know what I mean? Like, things I used to be able to do, and it's just like, man, I'm really feeling my age here because I feel younger than like mentally. I still feel like I'm in my 20s. Doing comedy and starting when I was in my 20s. I've been doing stand-up comedy for 14 years now. And making these big long drives, doing a show, turning around, stopping at a rest stop on my way back to get a couple hours of sleep in the back of my car to go to my date, go to work the next day, and like it was nothing. Now thinking about it just made me tired just thinking about doing that right now. Like that would be miserable to do that right now at almost 40.
Yeah, I'm good for like one late night, maybe every couple of weeks, and then I'm good. But so being in the world of comedy, like who's your favorite comic? Do you have a couple?
I have a bunch. Lately, it's been a lot of Chris D'Elia. I've been watching. Big fan of him. Derek Stroops is another one. I've been real big fans of, but I'm always like, I've seen Tom Segura live a couple of times. I've seen Bert Kreischer live. They're phenomenal. Bill Burr is the people tell me that I remind them of him on stage because I
That's
got
awesome.
dubbed the first time I went on stage as the angry white comic because I just go on these long filled rants. Hence the name of the show, the podcast with the ride home rants,
Yeah.
and just about stuff that irritates me. My main shtick is stupid should hurt because I deal with stupid questions working in retail as long as I have, with just
Oh, yeah.
stupid questions and how I would want to respond to them in the moment, but I can't because I like my job and I like those paychecks coming in.
That's
So they were like, man, you're just the angry white comic. And he said it once, and lo and behold, 14 years later, I'm still known as the angry white comic.
I love Bill Burr, man.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites. So I grew up watching a lot of Dave Chappelle,
Mhm.
and we would watch Chappelle Show like all the time. And now I think it's just like so un-PC that it's like I kind of tiptoe around like telling people I used to watch that a lot. But
I
but
get
Bill
it, but
Burr was on that show like way back in like '03, and that's when he started getting big, I think. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
But that's how I first kind of heard of Bill Burr, and I was like, this guy is awesome. I didn't know that he did stand up until like '06 or '07. I was like, he's got some stand-ups out there. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's
Uh,
crazy, to think, like the journey. Like people think when I tell them I'm a comic, like, oh, so you work like an hour a night most nights. It's like I wish that was the case, man. Like, because you always got to be looking for new material. You always got to be writing. You always have to be doing stuff like this, running podcasts and that. And then there's merchandise stores that you have to, because the shows, I think there's decent pay in it, but most of the money is selling the merchandise afterwards. You know what I mean? You don't have to split that with the booker or a promoter or somebody else that's on the show, stuff like that. So it's people don't realize it's show business. You know what I mean? Like you can be good at the show, but if you're bad at that business part, like that's the thing people miss is the business aspect of it, and it is a business, and
yeah.
it's tough to get into it, and a lot of people fizzle out after a couple of years because I think, and I hate to say it because again, like you're saying, it's not really PC, but it's the day and age that we're in. Everything has to be instant gratification. You know
Yep.
what I mean? If it's
Yep.
not right
Definitely get that.
now, no, I'm not doing it. Oh, 14
Yeah.
years
And
later, and I'm still considered an up and coming comic.
yeah, well, it's like there's so many out there too, right? I mean, you have to deal with a little bit of failure, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that there's a couple times that people are going to think that you bombed or whatever, and it's like, man, are you able to look past that and get right back out there? There's got to be a lot of just like to have all those eyeballs on you and just say like, hey, I need to crush this, like I need to like deliver perfectly has got to be really tough. But I view comics as like the same thing as an author. It's like you are writing all the
Uh-huh.
time. And I was listening to another podcast a while ago, and somebody made a great point about like, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, but like putting yourself in situations where you're just like experiencing things, and that's
Mhm.
when material will start to come up. It's like, hey, like I was at Costco the other day, and
Yeah.
just hearing somebody have a conversation just got me thinking about this concept that I could make some jokes with. Or like maybe I was stuck in traffic and people were yelling at each other. And it was great to hear that. And you come up with a couple of jokes from that or something, right?
That's a lot of my, 'cause, you're on the road a lot as a comic, and you get in those traffic jams and you hear people, and most of the time it's me. I'm the one yelling, but I have a whole note section in my phone with probably 300 to 400 different things, and it's something that I heard as I can make a joke out of that, and I
Yeah.
put it in there, and oh, that made me laugh. Let's see if it makes sense. You know what I mean? And you're always constantly trying to find ideas. And I also have a joke notebook that comes around with me everywhere I go, just in case. You never know when inspiration is going to strike. Sometimes it's something I dreamt about, and you wake up and that was funny.
Yeah.
And you just kind of put it in there, and then you kind of start the writing process. At least that's how I do it.
Yeah.
I live
That
my
makes sense.
daily life, and then I find the funny in weird situations, and that's where I think the best part of my comedy comes from.
Yeah.
is the
Now,
real
how often
event.
do you play shows? What's that kind of schedule like?
It's been hit or miss. I've taken a little bit of a hiatus from the stage to work on the podcast for a little bit here, but I have been working with a booking agent here, so more shows will be coming up here soon.
Sweet.
So as of right now, yeah, it's been a couple of months since I've been on stage. You know, sometimes you need that as a comic. The grind of doing shows a couple a month even can wear on you to where okay now I'm traveling to Columbus to do a show, then coming back, you know, day job. Now I'm going to Cleveland, you know, doing a show that now it's back to West Virginia. Now you know, you're bouncing all over the place, and it's tough. And
Yeah.
people want to harp on like, oh, well, you're only doing an open mic. Why are you doing an open mic? It's like you played a sport when you were growing up, right? You know, like yeah, I was like, so you practiced, right? They're like, yeah, I was like, that's my practice field.
Getting reps, man.
Getting reps in and finding out because if when you bomb, I mean it's not if you're going to bomb, it's when you're going to bomb on stage as a comedian, and that is your learning moment. So I'd rather bomb at an open mic night where it's a free show where I know I'm not getting paid. There's not probably not going to be a ton of people at an open mic.
Mm.
It's typically at a bar somewhere, and you're just kind of getting there to work out the new jokes. But it's like, all right, well, this worked here at this part. So where didn't it work, and what do I need to change to
Yeah.
make it funnier? And sometimes it's just a little bit of an embellishment, you know, and it's little things that you find and you want to work on. And I'm sure it's the same thing like with you with volleyball and that. So do you have any like tips for like any recruits coming in that are wanting to play volleyball that haven't maybe?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is like, man, there's a lot of tips. Like what I would say for our sport is it is a smaller sport. And what I mean by that is nationally, there's about 100K kids that are playing at like a high school level at this point. You compare that to men's basketball or boys basketball, where there's 2 million kids out there that are playing. It might be more than that. I'm not quite sure. So it is a smaller world. With that being said, there are less coaches at the college level out there. So there is more of a, hey, let's help grow this game. So what that means and where I'm going is like, if you're looking to play at the college level, send an email out, get a highlight tape, and just send it to whoever you might be interested in exploring at the college level. And I think you're probably going to get one of two answers. Most of the time, it's probably going to be a no, but a lot of the time, it's going to be like, let's set up a phone call. Whereas, like, I think in the basketball world, there are so many kids out there, and a college coach is getting probably 200 of those a day that a lot of times kids aren't going to hear back, right? Whereas in men's volleyball, you're probably going to hear back from a coach and get a yes or a no, and you never know when you're going to get that yes, and you have to be comfortable with getting no's, right?
Yeah.
So that's the first thing, just to start off. And I will take this here. I want to go here next because I want to hear your thoughts on this with having a kid and you played a bunch of sports. The thing that I talk about a lot with young players, I helped run a couple of clubs here in the last like 6 years. I'm currently helping a club start up here that we just started for this past year. And I coach 13s kids where they're just getting into the sport for the first time. And I think that that's a really important age level because you're developing habits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not only on how to play a sport, but how to treat teammates and all this other stuff. So I think you almost need your best coaches at that level to get those types of habits in place, both from like an interpersonal standpoint and a sports standpoint. But I tell kids at that age all the time, you should be playing as many sports as you possibly can for as long as you can. And I think that cross training is really good for any athlete. And there is a saying at the higher level of coaching of that specialization is for ants. So like look at a sport like if you have a safety who is able to come over to the offensive end and play at wide receiver. Like that's pretty valuable to a football team.
Right.
If you have a big man in basketball who's 6'9", who can step out and shoot threes, that's pretty valuable to a men's basketball team, right? The same thing goes for a volleyball player. It's like, hey, if you're a versatile athlete that maybe you spent some time playing football, but you can also have a great vertical. So you have this combo of strength and speed and vertical. That's really valuable to us at the higher level. So I always tell kids, like, don't specialize until you absolutely have to, which is when you get to college. Because like that season is 7 months long. You're playing a lot of volleyball, you're doing a lot of training. But I'd be curious to see, like, just as a father, like, there's a lot of parents that think they have to specialize a kid of like, if you want to be a baseball player, you have to only play baseball from age 12 on. It's like, no way is that the
No,
case.
I mean, I I agree. I played a ton of sports growing up, even through that like 8 to 12 range. I mean, I'd played soccer, football, basketball, baseball. I swam from the time I was 8 all the way through college. That was obviously the main sport that I was obviously really, really good at and wanted to focus my energy on. I was always that kid, kind of like you were saying at the beginning, like after school, me and my buddies would go out to the neighborhood basketball courts and we were shooting hoops. Made me realize I'm terrible at basketball. I am 6'5". I am terrible at basketball. And like I made my 8th grade basketball team by like they were like, okay, everybody in this town is 5'9" or shorter. You are 6'4" in 8th grade. Like
Wow.
you're here. I need you to get the tip off. I need you to block shots and get rebounds.
Yep.
That is it. That is the only way you're making this tape. And I said, okay, coach. I knew my role and I executed flawlessly. If I don't
There you
say
go.
so
Yeah.
myself, I believe I
Be
finished
an
with
enforcer, man. Just start throwing
that's
bows
that,
down there.
that's all I
People
was.
boxing people.
That's all I was. That's it. I finished the season and we won the championship that year. And I'm talking like through the playoffs and everything like that with like 20 total points in like 18 games. And I finished with 130 blocks and 115 rebounds. I knew
That's
my
not bad.
role.
Not bad.
I knew my role. Like
We got to get
that's
you a
it.
scholarship for that.
You would think that, but and then I got to high school and then kind of started to, okay, I'm not that good at basketball. I'm not going to be a shooter. Everyone's now as tall or taller than me, kind of like what you were saying going into college. It was kind of like when I hit high, I grew very fast, very quickly. Like I said, I was 6'4" by the time I was in 8th grade.
Yeah, I was
And
the same way, man. Like I grew super fast quickly.
and then everybody caught up and started passing me up. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, but what am I gonna be like a shooting guard here? And I can't shoot the ball to save my life. And like I block shots and I get rebounds. That's what I do, and it's gonna be a lot tougher here. Plus, kind of falls in the same season as swimming for me here, guys. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna swim instead. So my buddies were a little upset about that, but
Yeah.
I played every sport that I possibly could. I got a black belt in Taekwondo because I grew very fast and I was uncoordinated, and it helped me with coordination
Yeah.
too as well. But that was still in that 12 to 14 range, 15. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
it helped me. Obviously you learn a bunch of different skill sets. Soccer helped with hand-eye or foot-eye coordination, baseball hand-eye coordination. Swimming was just an entire body workout. Football, getting bigger, stronger, helping with the vertical and being able to jump off the blocks. It helped, every sport helped me with something with swimming.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. Yeah. So there's a lot of advice. What I would say is if anyone wants to talk, just send me an email. Like my email is on the website. And just send me something, and I'm happy to give you a phone call or just send an email back and say, hey, here's what I would recommend for if you're trying to get to the next level, if you're 15 or 16 and just kind of working on your game or something like that. But the other thing that I think that kids need to realize is that it's not all about how good you are. It's about your work ethic and just
Mm.
like, are you interpersonal with the people around you? Because we have guys that maybe aren't the most talented in our gym, but they are just really good at making other people better. And they just put themselves in the right place at the right time. And they're feeding off some good energy all the time. Those guys are really valuable. And then I think another thing that applies to the real world here is like, I don't know how you are, but I would rather hire, like if I'm running a business, right, and I have to hire somebody who's a recent graduate from college, I would rather hire the 3-2 guy that maybe like missed a couple test scores or whatever and has like a 3.0 to a 3.2, but you can sit down and have a beer with this guy and just have a great time and you enjoy being with them and working with them, as opposed to the kid who is like super rigid and 4.0, and maybe you're a really book smart dude, but then like when we're working on a project in the workplace, like you don't have any interpersonal skills, like that stuff matters too. And the best thing is like, hey, if you're that 4.0 kid who can do both, then awesome, more power to you. You're a super special dude. But I don't think it's all about book smarts. And
Yeah.
that's where I think the college thing can be tough for a lot of kids, because there are kids that are in a high school classroom that maybe like aren't meant to be in a desk and just sitting there and listening all day. And maybe they don't learn well in that type of environment and
Right.
it makes their grades suffer. But then you get to college and you're learning things that you want to learn about. Let's say you're a bio major and just bio is your jam and everything else you could care less about. Like that's where kids start to thrive and they turn from boys to men, right? And not to make a music reference, but it's like that's that's what I have learned is like I could look at a kid's transcript and maybe he doesn't look like the best student, but you got to get to know a person.
Yeah.
So that's something that I wanted to throw out there too. It's like, hey man, if you're not that classroom guy, A, that doesn't mean that college is not for you, and B, I don't think that any coach should be turning a guy away just because they don't have those top grades, because every human's different, right? So
Right. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And as someone who book smart said bye bye to a long time ago, you know what I
same,
mean? You
same
don't
here.
become a stand up comedian because you're that 4.0 student. You know what I mean? So, I was more street smarts, hands on. I learn as I go. And I've always said, if you show me something, then help me do it the first time and then let me do it the third time. I know how to do that. Like that's
Yeah.
how I learned. And that's what I tell people, in interviews that I have to hold at my day job and stuff like that. And it's just like, look, I'm not looking for the political correct interview answer. I just want to have a conversation with you. If you can hold a conversation with me, we can work with that. I can train and teach anybody to do anything.
Yeah.
And if
Dude,
but
here's
if you
what they
can't,
need is there needs to be some kind of like street smart test. Because we have all these
absolutely
book smart tests. We're like, okay, I'm good at the SAT. I got the ACT down. But it's like, where's the street smart test? Like,
right.
man, if I put this kid out in the middle of a Walmart, can he find his way home and make some friends on the way? I don't know. But I think that'd be sick. Like,
That would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome to have that. But yeah, like it's just people learn differently, and I want to get this in because I've been kind of curious about it. You being the volleyball coach, and there's indoor volleyball and beach volleyball. Which is harder, and why do you think that?
man, that's a great question. First of all, they're two different sports. They are two different sports. In my opinion, I would say sixes is harder, because here's why. The ball is traveling faster. There is more defined jobs that you have to do on the court, and you have to be incredibly good at that job to see a high level. I think to be a good beach volleyball player, you can get away with less physicality and you can be a smaller person in stature. You better be able to make up for it with quickness in the beach. I will say in beach volleyball, it's much harder to move because you're just
Yeah.
insane, right? It's like, hey, like I am not able to move as quickly as I could on the hard court. I'm not able to jump as high as I would on hard court. So there are some things that make beach very challenging. But I would say if you take an average athlete and an and a an above average guy, and you put them both on a sixes court, the average athlete is going to struggle where the above average guy is going to probably accelerate a little bit. If you put them on a beach court, it might be equal, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's hard to describe with somebody who doesn't know the sport well. So I'm trying to help you, but a good example is when I got out of college, I turned 25 and I was like, all right, I'm not able to play a lot of indoor in this area, but there is a lot of beach volleyball here. So I was like, all right, well, that's going to like fill my urge to compete and still be active. And I'm going out, like, I'm thinking, all right, I have all this experience playing the game of volleyball at the highest level. I have a really good arm. Like, I have all these skills that I've drilled and drilled and drilled. And then I'm playing against guys who have just played pickup sand for 6 years, and they're carving me up because it's just a different sport. And I'm a little
Right.
bit slower in the sand, and I'm trying to bomb every ball, and I'm hitting the ball out of bounds, and they're just shooting balls to deep corners and shooting over top of my block. But if we take those same guys that are sand rats and we bring them into the indoor, it's like, hey, now this is the realm where the taller athletes, the guys that have the verticals and the guys that have more of a dominant skill set from an athletic standpoint are probably going to take a step up, you know? So it's hard to say. And you hit a hot topic in our world because like the beach guys are going to say that beach volleyball is where the more complete players are, but the indoor guys are going to say, well, this is where the better athletes are. So it's like, dude, it's probably 50-50. I just have some experience with both. And I feel like I've seen such top level athletes play in the indoor that it's just been mind boggling. Like it's like, yeah, that guy, you put him anywhere and he's going to dominate, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's always been a question that I've been curious about is, which one would be harder, because I don't know a lot about volleyball, but at the same time, like I see some of the highlights like on ESPN and stuff like that. And these guys are just like, it's like, how do you move that way? And how do you get from there to there that quickly, that quick around the court? And like, it's just, it blows my mind a
Yeah.
little bit there too, as well. But you've been coaching full time too, as well. And you're also a married man. Like you said, how do you balance that time?
Yeah. So we don't have kids yet. So that helps.
That definitely helps.
And I'd always want to be a father, like, you know, but I will tell you, any coach that's doing something at a semi high level will say the same thing. Like, you have to have a really good wife if you're going to be married who understands the demands of travel and the fact that to coach at this level is a lifestyle, right? So I'm on the weekends, I'm making some phone calls, I'm doing some Zoom calls with some kids that I'm trying to bring in because that's when they have the free time to Zoom, right? There is a lot of times for 4 months from the month of January all the way through to the middle of April that I might be on the road for a game and I have to miss a wedding. That has happened and it's tough to do, right? So you have to pick and choose spots with that, but it takes what it takes to be a really good coach and to run a good
Right.
program. So my wife is amazing. And I think the thing that we figured out is like if you can integrate your wife or your spouse in what you're doing with your team and your program, then that helps. So she knows all of our guys' parents. We have a lot of alumni that come over to our house like after they graduate and we play cards with them and have drinks and they know Carrie now and they're friends with Carrie. So that's how I balance it. It's just like, hey, you can be a part of this too. And no, you don't have the volleyball knowledge, but like you can make some relationships and go from there. I will tell you when we first got married, like there was some tough conversations about like, hey, why are you missing this wedding? Or like our family wants us to travel and go see them on this weekend. Well, I got to go out to California for a 5-day trip and I'm not going to be able to make that. And I think a lot of our family sometimes when I first started didn't understand like why are you not just working a 9 to 5 and then like you can do things on the weekends? It's like, yeah, it's just a different world.
I wish you had a job like that,
Dude,
That's
it would
always
be
been a
so
dream.
like I'm not gonna lie, I think about that a lot. Like, what would that 9 to 5 look like? And then, man, I get a Saturday where I can wake up and just hang out with friends and watch some football, like, and maybe do
Yeah.
the same thing on Sunday too. Like, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that would
Um,
be. I get it as a comic, like it's the travels there too as well.
yeah.
And, my wife, as we've been together 10 years and she has missed a grand total of, I think, 3 shows in that time
Wow.
frame.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
awesome.
one of which she had COVID, obviously. Can't do that. Another one, she had food poisoning. I wasn't going to make her drive an hour and a half. It was a closer show too. I wasn't going to make her drive do that. Yeah, it was 3. And another one, I did a show a couple years ago in a prison where I was actually performing for the inmates, and she
Oh,
was
wow.
not
That's
allowed.
awesome.
Yeah, she was not allowed to come to that one. So, based off of the prison rules. So, but every video that you've seen up on me on YouTube or TikTok or anything like that, she films those. I've integrated her into like, hey, you're gonna, I need you to film this. This is my game tape to watch and post, and how I get seen to as
Yeah.
well. So,
Yeah, I was gonna
you
say
know,
before, dude, it's a very similar lifestyle, like where you're doing some traveling and stuff like that. And I think, like, in my opinion, like, not to get sappy, but I think a good marriage is defined by, like, are you able to support your spouse when they need it?
mhm,
And it sounds like your wife is there for you and doing everything
absolutely.
that she can to help you get better. And hopefully it pays off, man. And that's
Right.
what we're hoping too. Like, there may come a day where my wife, she has a great job. She works from home, but her work may ask her to move at some point, and that may sacrifice me leaving my current job. And I'm willing to do that if she needs to
Mhm.
move to make some more money for our family, right? But dude, that's what a good marriage is all about, dude. Just video and some comedy shows. Like, that's what it's all about, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's funny because she always films it, and then she hates her laugh. And it's in every video, and it's in every video of mine because she hears these jokes. Like, it's not like this is the first time she's hearing them. Like, she hears everything that I work on. I test them out on her before I go on to an open mic night. And
Yeah,
typically, if I get what is wrong with you? It's like, yeah, that's a killer. That one's going to
that's
be good.
good.
That's going to be
Now,
gold.
who is the bigger critic? Like, you of yourself or her of you?
Me. It's always me. She's like, you did great. I'm like, I stumbled on a couple words here and there, and I look at the
Yeah.
little things. Like, I kind of tripped over the cord of the mic, and like, kind of like,
Yeah.
I paused. I know I said a lot, and it's just, I find those little things after doing it for so long that it's more. She's like, but everyone laughed. Like, isn't that the end goal? It's just like, I mean, yeah, but like, to be professional at it too as well is where
Yeah,
my
for
mindset
sure.
goes.
Kind of stick it in that type of process, right? To just, hey,
Yeah,
like, I need to talk as fluidly as I possibly can and just deliver the joke as
Del-
best
de-
I possibly can.
deliberate and hit your lines, hit your punches, because there's different punchlines in the middle of the joke before the main punch. Like, you gotta find that balance too as well.
So
So yeah.
my version of this is, so I think it was back in 2022. I was playing in a beach volleyball league with a friend of mine, Dan Martin, and my wife and his wife are really close now. So Carrie comes to this sand league. We're in the playoffs, okay? And it's in this like indoor place where it's like kind of tight courts, and like you can go get a beer and get some food and come onto the court and hang out and watch people play in the playoffs. So we're in the final, and you said that your wife like videos it
Hmm.
and gives you like a little bit of feedback and stuff like that. So we're playing in the final, and it's like 7-7, and Carrie is on the sideline just talking shit. And she's like, Kyle, that sucked. That was a terrible pass. Like, why don't you hit the ball in bounds next time? I'm like, dude, what the heck? Like, you're supposed to be lifting me up here. So we always joke about that now. It's like, lift me up,
I,
don't put me down.
I get it, because
But
now my wife she has heckled me on stage, and it's worked. And one competition, I only had 5 minutes on stage, and as a storytelling comedian, to tell me I only have 5 minutes, I really got to condense this joke, because my jokes are at every bit of 10 to 15 minutes long for one joke to go through. Now, there's side quests and stuff that you go through on the story, but
yep.
and I was doing a little bit of crowd work, and I heard somebody say something. I said, "Who said that?" It sounded like a woman. I looked over that another woman sitting by her, and she raised her hand. I was like, "Oh, it's white. Like, what? You don't count for this part of it."
Yeah.
Like, and then, like, she even says, well, we'll talk about this later. And it's just like, I'm sure we will on the hour drive home. And everyone got a big laugh out of that. And like,
That's awesome.
it works sometimes too, as well. But I get that. Like, I need that sometimes though. That, like, hey, you're doing pretty shitty. I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to get some crowd work going for you, and it works. So
Nice,
it's
man.
a good balance, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't have it any other way. But Kyle, we are running down here near the end of the episode. I didn't even realize how long we've been sitting here talking. Says it's great to have those kind of guests here, but I do got to get this segment in because if I don't, the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone, will kill me. And that is the Fast Fitty 5. And that is 5 random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. And Kyle, these have nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the better part of 50 minutes here. So these are kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started.
Let's do it.
All right. Question 1. What's the most overrated flavor of ice cream?
Mint chocolate chip.
Ooh, yeah. Well, so that's a tough one for me. Question 2. Is ice cream in a cone or a cup better?
Ice cream in a cone?
Or a cup better?
I'm going to say cone.
Cone. Yeah,
because you get to eat the cone too.
You get a little extra there at the end of it. Question number 3: What's your favorite movie theater to go to see a movie at?
There was a movie theater I went to in Dallas, Texas, that was serving you food at your seat, and I think it was an AMC, but that was incredible. Like you could order a beer and food, whatever, and you didn't have to get up, and it came right to you. That was amazing. I'd never been to one before, and I think it was like 2023. I went to that. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah, I need to find one of those. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they're not everywhere with those with everybody nowadays. Question number 4: What's your favorite cereal?
My favorite cereal. So this is a throwback for people that are millennials or born in the 90s. There was a cereal in the 90s called Waffle Crisp. That was incredible. Oh, yeah. My second honorable mention is Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries.
Yeah, absolutely. And question number 5: Would you rather be a giraffe or a king cobra snake?
I would rather be a giraffe.
Okay.
You're already tall. You could see above the trees and you could stomp those cobras out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I don't like snakes. So, yeah, it would have to be a giraffe for me.
Same. I don't want to be a snake.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that was the Fast 55. He took it a little bit easier on you, Kyle, than he normally does. I'll tell you that one.
Yeah, I got to stop by tomorrow and let him know I need some harder ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He needs it. Well, he might be on paternity leave. He did just have his,
true. Yeah.
He just had his baby out there. So, yeah, congratulations to him. It's the first show I've had since, he's had the baby. So, congrats to you, Fitty, and Cassie there, too, as well.
Johnny's going to be a great father, man. He's going to be an awesome father.
Absolutely. But, Kyle, like I said, we are running down near the end of the episode, and I do give every guest this opportunity at the end of every episode. If there's anything you want to get out there, whether it's something about volleyball, BW, or even if it's just a good message, I'm going to give you about a minute, and the floor is yours.
Yeah, if anyone wants to come to some games, we play in the middle of January all the way through April 15th-ish. So if you've never seen a men's game, please come play. Let me know and send me an email. I'll get you some free tickets. If you are looking for other ways to watch the sport, the men's Final Four at the Division I level is going to be coming on here in about another week. So you can look for that on ESPN Plus, I think it is, like May 5th-ish. So go ahead and go look at that. And if you've never seen a men's game before, watch these dudes play. Every play is like an alley-oop at 12 feet. These guys are crushing balls. They're jumping super high. It's a fast-paced game. It's really fun. And then I just want to thank you, Mike, for having me on. This was awesome to learn about some comedy and stuff like that. And I love talking to you, man. This was great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it when people can promote what they have, but I'm always grateful when everyone has a good time when they come on the show because, I do want to make the show like it is just two buddies shooting the shit at a bar, having a couple drinks. So appreciate you. Very easy to talk to in that. And I look forward to keeping up. I did not know when the men's volleyball season is. Now that I do, I will definitely be checking that out and keeping in touch with you too as well. But that is actually going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. Again, I want to thank my guest, Kyle Mars, for coming on the show. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.